Gonna be honest, wasn't expecting the butt stuff. When the first Joker came out in 2019, it was a surprise hit. It made $1 billion and it told an incredibly interesting origin story of Batman's greatest villain.
I'm the Joker, baby!
It reimagines the Joker as a mentally ill guy that is just trying his best to take care of his sick mother and stay positive. But life just keeps kicking him in the teeth for no reason. By the time he becomes the Joker in the end, you're almost rooting for the guy. It's cathartic to see him finally stand up for himself and burn it all to the ground. Everyone was so awful to him, and he finally gets his wish of being somebody that people notice, for better or for worse. The movie ends with Arthur Fleck fully embracing the Joker as his true persona, and even inspires the guy that winds up killing Bruce Wayne's parents, thus also creating the Batman. It is a genuinely fantastic movie, and it is the perfect standalone film that didn't need a sequel. So of course they made a sequel titled Joker Folie Deux. Joker Folie Deux? More like Joker falls on this poo. Cause it's bad. It was, absolutely terrible. It was advertised as a musical with Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, and I am definitely gonna get into why the musical aspect falls flat on its face and doesn't work at all. But first I want to talk about just how unnecessary the sequel felt. Like I said, the first movie ended with Arthur Fleck fully giving into his dark side and being reborn as the Joker. But when the second movie begins, he seems to have regressed into his sad, lonely, scared former self. He doesn't feel like a fully realized Joker for the vast majority of this movie. In fact, he only dresses like the Joker during the big fantasy musical moments. This movie also undoes a lot of the brilliant, unreliable narrator stuff from the first movie. In Joker 1, we honestly have no idea what is actually happening and what isn't. It looks like Arthur has a girlfriend, and it turns out it was just in his head. He tells jokes at his stand-up comedy routine and he seems to do a great job, but later we learned he bombed. He kills a bunch of people, but how many of those were real? In fact, the final scene of the movie, we see Joker being interviewed by a woman in Arkham. He comes out of the room with bloody footprints and starts running away from the guards, leaving the audience saying, "Did he just kill that lady?" It's a great ending. Then the sequel just outright confirms, nah, that was in his head. In fact, here is everything he actually did in the first movie with zero ambiguity. Like, why? It adds nothing to the current movie and retroactively makes your last movie worse. If I'm watching the sequel to The Joker, where the first movie was his origin story, I'd expect the sequel to be the Joker on a rampage, building a name for himself and becoming the clown prince of crime. Instead, this entire movie is Joker versus the legal system. It's a courtroom drama, but it isn't a good one. It spends the vast majority of its excruciatingly long 2.5-hour runtime just recapping what happened in the first movie, bringing back old characters as witnesses to tell the audience what we already know. So now let's get into the biggest risk this movie took, turning it into a musical. I admit, it's a pretty ballsy move to do that with your billion-dollar movie franchise, especially since a lot of people tend to hate musicals for some reason. I am not one of those people. I grew up on a steady diet of Disney movies and being a theater kid, so I love musicals. That being said, the music in this movie sucks. They don't sing Bad Romance at any point during this film, and it's like, why did they even bother making it? But seriously, the real problem is that in musicals, the songs are meant to do at least one of two things. Either A, move the story forward in some way, usually providing an insight into the character's thoughts and feelings we otherwise wouldn't have known. Or B, if you can't do that, at least be entertaining. And there are very few songs in The Joker 2 that do either. Joker has two different flavors of singing. Songs with big set pieces and singing in the middle of normal conversations. When I say songs with big set pieces, I mean these are the numbers where the scenery completely changes and he's in the full Joker costume. These are the best musical moments in the movie. Even if these don't necessarily move the plot forward, at least they're entertaining, sound good, and are fun to look at. There was one song towards the end of the film like this that was spectacular. It's called Gonna Build a Mountain. It's fun, there's flashing lights, tap dancing, and the song kicks ass. I wish the entire movie was filled with numbers like that. Unfortunately, there aren't too many of these set-piecing numbers, maybe like 3 in total. In fact, some of them seem to have been cut from the movie altogether. Remember this? Joker and Harley dancing on the Joker stairs outside of the courtroom? It's all over the trailers, and it's literally the movie poster. Yeah, that's not in the movie at all. Maybe this was a different part of the ending sequence that was planned and it got cut for reasons that will be obvious once we get to the spoiler section at the end of this video where I discuss the ending, so stick around for that. Unfortunately, this movie tends to prefer the second flavor of Joker songs. For like 80% of this movie, people will just be having a normal conversation, and then either Joker or Harley Quinn will just randomly start singing. And these aren't like original songs pertaining to the movie, they are covers of real songs, like older songs you'd hear on your dad's favorite radio station. The problem is, the audio isn't done professionally in a recording booth. It sounds like if you or I just started singing out loud.
Hallelujah, come on, get happy. Ready for the judgment.
It doesn't sound great, and it's very awkward. At least compared to the more professional sounding big set piece numbers. You could make the argument that the amateur sound of the singing is on purpose to make you uncomfortable, but that should only be done like once or twice. It happens like 12 times. So much of this movie has this awkward, out loud, real life sounding singing, and it really starts to grate on you after a while. And they just jam these songs into everything. It's so disruptive and pace breaking. By the end of this movie, when the characters started to sing again, I was like, shut up, shut up, shut up, stop singing and just talk normally.
Shut up about the sun! Shut up about the sun!
I was getting sick of it, the audience was getting sick of it, and even the movie itself had one of its characters saying, "Please stop singing, just talk to me." A major problem with the Joker 2 is they don't really use the musical aspect of this movie to its full potential. For example, a huge chunk of this movie is done in a courtroom. Most of these scenes are just recapping what happened in the first movie. They don't really add anything new or offer any interesting insights. This could have been an opportunity to use music to make these scenes flow better, but they really just do nothing with it. They sing, but we learn nothing new. The songs are typically just love songs between Harley and Joker, but aren't connected to the current scene in any way. "You murdered 5 people, didn't you, you sick bastard? Ra 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 ah ah, rama rama ma." Joker if it was good. As an example, let's take a look at a much better musical that knows how to use the songs to further the story correctly. Chicago's "We Both Reached for the Gun." The basic idea of this song is we have a woman doing a press tour to raise sympathy for herself after being coached on what exactly to say by her lawyer. But look at how they frame this idea. The woman and the lawyer are doing a ventriloquist act where the lawyer is in the driver's seat and the woman is just parroting his words. Meanwhile, in the background you have the media and journalists being puppeted on strings by the very same lawyer. He is having everyone literally dance to his tune. Not only is this a really cool and unique looking visual, but even without hearing the words, you kind of get the idea of who is doing what and why. The number has visual storytelling. Yes, everything happening on stage is a fantasy, but it frequently cuts back to the real world to show what is actually happening before jumping back to continue the song. This is what the Joker should have been doing throughout the entire movie. If they were hellbent on retelling the stories of the first movie, maybe they could have redone some iconic scenes in musical form from the Joker's twisted point of view. Instead, they do none of that and just kind of waste everybody's time for 3 minutes whenever somebody starts singing. Next, we should talk about Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. Lady Gaga actually does a really good job acting and singing, but the role her character plays in the scope of the movie isn't great. There's supposed to be a big romance between the two, but it's more like a bad romance. It sucks. I just never felt any chemistry between them. I get that Harley and Joker aren't supposed to have the healthiest relationship, but like, they shouldn't be getting together simply because they are both so crazy. I need a little more than that for a believable romance. After their first scene together, they're making out, dancing, and having really awkward sex in Joker's jail cell where he finishes in like 7 pumps. Which, I mean, I get it. The point is, by the end of the movie, I felt like I really didn't know much more about Harley than I did at the beginning of the movie. There's almost nothing to her character. I know I'm complaining a lot about this movie, but it isn't all bad. It's just mostly bad. There was one scene in the courtroom I felt actually added something to the original movie. When they bring back Lee Gill to reprise his role as Gary. This is probably the best scene in the movie. Gary is brought on as a witness and he recounts the events of the first movie, namely Joker killing a dude right in front of him and how that murder has mentally affected him since then. He says something that recontextualizes their relationship. "You were the only one who was nice to me, Arthur," which is the same reason Arthur gave to Gary in the first movie for not killing him.
"You were the only one that was ever nice to me." Yeah.
you can see the Joker persona drop and Arthur starts to re-emerge in that moment. It's a great scene both in terms of the movie and for the performances of the two actors. I wish I could say the same for the rest of the movie. What comes next is the finale, which I really can't get into without spoiling the ending, so if you don't want to see that, feel free to skip ahead to this timestamp. The rest of the video will be me discussing the end of Joker Folie Deux in 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go. First, a quick recap of the ending. After Gary's testimony, Arthur is visibly shaken and has an angry outburst about his treatment by the public and by the guards at Arkham. When he gets back, the Arkham guards that have been abusing him all movie are super butt-mad that he talked bad about them on TV, and they take him to the bathroom to beat the hell out of him and to rape him. Yes, they strip down and sexually assault the Joker. When he returns to court the next day, he completely drops the Joker persona. He breaks down crying, confesses all his crimes, and apologizes for everything he has ever done. Arthur states that there was never any Joker. He was just putting on an act because that's what people want to see from him. Furious, Harley Quinn decides to abandon him in court, and after getting the guilty verdict, a car bomb goes off and blows up the courtroom in a massive explosion. Joker manages to escape and meets Harley on the Joker stairs. He tells her he wants to run away with her like they planned, but Harley tells him it's too late. He already gave up on being the Joker and that the fantasy was all she cared about, not Arthur himself, and leaves. A heartbroken Arthur just gives up and lets himself be taken back into custody. The final scene of this movie is the guards telling Arthur he has a visitor, and he gets stopped in the hallway by another psychotic inmate. He tells Arthur a joke about how much of a disappointment he is and fatally stabs Arthur after saying Joker's line from the first movie.
Police, get what you fucking deserve!
As the camera zooms in on Arthur's face, we see the psycho inmate laughing and twitching in the background as he cuts his own mouth into the iconic Heath Ledger Joker smile scars. Arthur dies, and it turns out that the dude that stabbed him is the real Joker. Arthur simply inspired him to become the new Joker. The movie ends right there. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, Arthur giving up on being the Joker after getting raped is so edgy and stupid and awful and miserable for the sake of it. They should not have put that in the movie because it is such a dumb, terrible decision for that to be the reason Arthur quits being the Joker. Second, as far as Arthur not being the true Joker and instead inspiring the real Joker's creation, I don't completely hate the idea, and it's even been done before on that Gotham show nobody watched. I don't hate it mostly because I can't really see Arthur fighting Batman in the future. He isn't a criminal mastermind that takes sadistic pleasure in hurting people. He's just a mentally ill, sad, lonely man that gets away with things on pure luck. Having him reject the Joker persona only for someone to kill him and take it for themselves isn't inherently a terrible idea. But if they wanted to go down this route, they needed to give Arthur a real reason to quit. Instead of getting the Joker raped out of him, how about you have Arthur actually be the Joker for most of the movie, but as he kills and commits more and more crimes, he realizes he still feels empty inside. He gets no joy out of it because he doesn't actually want to do it. He's only going that far because that's the performance people want to see from him. An idea that was already present in this movie. Only after doing it for a while, feeling nothing, and then seeing how his rampage directly affects people like Gary, would it make more sense for Arthur to want to give it up. They kind of start doing that after Gary's testimony, where we can see how visibly upset the Joker is that the one person who treated him nicely also saw Arthur as the one person who treated him nicely. But they don't go far enough with it. Instead, Arthur gets Shawshank Redemption and just instantly quits. It feels so deflating and anticlimactic. Also, I don't know this for sure, but it feels like there might have been a different ending planned for this movie. The poster and the trailers show Harley and Joker dancing down the courtroom steps and seemingly running away together. In the movie, while Arthur is in the middle of his final breakdown, he says, "I was planning on doing this big angry speech, but I can't do this anymore." Most likely, the original plan was for the Joker to actually do the big final speech like he did in the first movie, maybe kill somebody, and before they can arrest him, then the courtroom blows up. This is when Harley and Joker would do that cut dance scene, leaving the courtroom together, dancing on the Joker steps, and then the movie would end. I think that number was ultimately cut because that sequence wouldn't make any sense if Arthur gives up on being the Joker and Harley abandons him. Honestly, I would have much preferred that ending to the shit we got instead. And unfortunately, that's kind of the whole problem with this movie. People want to see the Joker, but the movie seemed hell-bent on keeping him out of the picture as long as possible. It's crazy how not enough happens in a movie that is trying so many new things, like making it a musical and casting Lady Gaga to be Harley Quinn. Joker Folie Deux is too long, bloated, and worst of all, dull. Outside of rewatching a few scenes, I don't ever want to watch this movie ever again. And that way, the ending is perfect because it kills any interest I have in this Joker franchise moving forward. Do yourself a favor and just go watch Transformers 1 or The Wild Robot instead. Anyway, if you agree with me or disagree with me, let me know in the comments down below. I'd actually love to hear some other opinions about this. If you liked the video, leave a like, and if you enjoy movie reviews like this, consider subscribing for more content. And as always,
Have a rotten day!